Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the group chat. We are part of the two-way family, and our ethos is peace, love, and understanding. We encourage you to participate. We want to hear from you, our community members. We want you to raise your hand so we can call on you and you can share your thoughts on the news of the day or really any thoughts that are occurring to you. We'd love to hear them. We, of course, are me, Robby Soave, and Nina Turner. We're holding down the fort, and we're joined by two special guest stars this week. Filling in for Emma Jo is Cassie Smedile, who's a former RNC National Press Secretary. Very exciting. Very glad to hear from her. Thanks for being with us. And we are also joined, yes, he is there, Chris Hahn, host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast. You've seen him on many cable news programs before. I think he and I have been on a podcast or two back in the day on Fox. Great to have you with us as well. We'll jump right into this. Again, community members, we would love for you to sound off on any of these issues, weigh in on our debates, and please comment wherever the commenting function is made available on YouTube or anywhere else. But again, peace, love, understanding, civility. We want to hear from you, but we want to model for our great nation civil debate. So we encourage you to do that. All right. This week has been, I think, all about foreign policy again, with President Donald Trump ruling out military action in the pursuit of Greenland, but very much wanting to have it and making some negotiations with our friends, our frenemies, maybe he views them that way, in Europe. Coming to apparently some kind of arrangement in the last day, which is pleasing to Trump and maybe pleasing to all the relevant parties. So let's get into that topic and debate that. I'll come to you first, Cassie, as you're processing, listening to Trump sounding happy that some kind of deal was made. And, I think always with Trump, you can see it many different ways. Was this bluster and like, oh my God, what is he doing? We're going to invade Greenland. That's, kind of seems crazy. Or was it part of some negotiating tactic where he wants some fairly ludicrous demand and is going to get something well short of that, but is still going to get something? That's the point. The administration seems happy. What is your read on their negotiations vis-a-vis Greenland?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Really great to be with you all today. So I took it as that from the very beginning. When he first started talking about Greenland a year ago, and it had all of us scratching our heads and being like, where is this coming from? I didn't remember hearing this a part of the campaign stump speech, not really a big topic of the rallies. What's the point of Greenland? And so we've had a year to get conditioned to this idea, whatever that might be, of Greenland. And I think as anything with Trump, I worked at the RNC during Trump 1.0. And so it was like every tweet you were hanging on, you were trying to figure out what it meant and what it would end up looking like. And now what we've learned all these years later is to take him seriously, but perhaps not literally, at least at the first blush when he says things, and to see what this is really going to look like. So I do think he was trial ballooning this. I do think he was playing a little bit of chess with our European allies to get them to care about Greenland, because he didn't think that they were paying enough attention to this vulnerability that China and Russia were certainly happy to exploit. And now here we've ended up with this opportunity seemingly to be able to build more military, maybe bases, but installations, something with the Golden Dome expanding to Greenland, which is really good militarily and strategically for the Western Hemisphere. And it looks like there's even an opportunity there to maybe buy their minerals and utilize their resources. But I did think it was really good, one last thought here, that he cleared it up right out of the gate to say, we're not invading Greenland. Don't worry about it. You can come out of your bunkers. I think that was good for everybody. Everybody, you saw even the stock markets kind of take a deep breath.
He listens to the stock market.
Wow.
Yeah. But from the American people's standpoint of why we should care, now we kind of understand what he was getting at, that this is all about securing the U.S. in the long term. So, it's a win, and it's something he can smile about, and everybody can, I think, generally feel good about, whether it's relief or like, oh, okay, that feels like that'll be good.
Chris, I know you're eager to get in the fray. Those accomplishments or achievements aside, is that worth the kind of fear we've put into European leaders over maybe uncontrollable behavior, that sort of thing?
First of all, he's not playing chess. He's playing Jenga. And we are very lucky that the entire stack didn't fall on top of
I
him.
mean, I think he's literally playing the board game Risk, right? In which Greenland is part of the
It's a
North
very
American
important
landmass.
territory in Risk. It's even better if you have Greenland and Iceland and North America.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
But it's to me, the damage is done here, right? Our European allies are now saying that the post-war order, which has mostly benefited the United States of America, I might add, and all of us as Americans, is over. And they need to start thinking about their own post-war order, right? I don't know who got to the president. I'm happy they did. I'm not giving him any credit. I'm not giving him. It's like if there's an arsonist who puts out their own fire. This happens like every time with this man. He starts these fires, then he backtracks, and everybody's like, "Oh yay, he backtracked. Let's give him credit for backtracking." I don't know what deal he made with NATO. I know that we had the ability to put whatever we wanted in Greenland. We made that treaty right after World War I, and we got the U.S. Virgin Islands as a result of that. So he acts like there's been no legal relationship between Greenland and the rest of the world and Denmark, and and all throughout all of this, nobody's asking the people who live in Greenland what they want, right? He's trying to treat them like, he's the conquering hero and they will do what he says. Well, what about them? Now, today, I see he's going to give them $1 million each. Well, I'm telling you right now, there are people going to the grocery store today and they're buying less, right? And they're seeing this guy offering $1 million to people who live in Greenland so he could put his flag on it or maybe name it Trump land or something. And they're watching Jim Jordan act like an idiot talking about January 6th. And they're wondering, what are these Republicans doing to make my life better? What is the president doing? What about all these promises they made? And they really are not happy. And you saw it in the elections last year. And I'm telling you right now, this year is going to be a bloodbath for Republicans. They're going to want to move to Greenland after the election, I think.
I want to move to Greenland if they're offering $1 million and if the housing prices are going to be any better there than
what $1 million is going to buy you in Greenland?
I will live like a Viking lord. Nina, let's bring you in. The America First part of the MAGA agenda is very important to Donald Trump. He's taken some criticism occasionally from conservatives for maybe a perception that he's been less focused on economic issues and more focused on foreign policy. I think we'll get into the economic side soon. Where do you? What are your views on our commitments to European partners? Because I do think there is a sense that there's a frustration or a feeling that we've been taken advantage of that animates a lot of Trump's base, and this kind of tough talk is welcome. At the same time, conquering Greenland was literally something no one was calling for pretty much until Trump kind of gestured at the idea before walking it back.
Yeah, Americans should be concerned about being taken advantage of, but being taken advantage of by the ruling class in this country. Let's start. Charity starts at home and spreads abroad. So before we look at NATO, let's look at the ruling class that has so much and the working class that has so little. This is nothing but 21st century imperialism. It's just like my neighbor coming over to my house and saying, Senator, I'm about to take your house because I got to take your house to protect my house. And I don't care what you got to say about it. I'm taking your house because I can. I got more weapons. I got bases all around the world. I spend more money on weapons than anybody in this neighborhood. And that's pretty much what the United States has done. As much as I do not like 99.9% of what President Donald J. Trump does, if another nation decided, oh, we just want to take over, we want to take over California because it's in our geopolitical interest to do so. And by the way, we're going to kidnap the president and the first lady because they're anti-Muslim. I would have a problem with that. And so I have a problem with this is nothing but a remix of Eurocentric imperialism that most nations of color 100%. Certainly understand. It is wrong. We are supposed to be making progress, not regressing. And just because the United States can do something doesn't mean that it should. And I'm right where Chris is in terms of what do the people of Greenland have to say? Well, they've already spoken.
Well, yeah, they've already said imperialism for Denmark to control it too. Then,
listen,
I mean,
but Robby, that's not that's not on the table right now. We're talking about the United States of America. And
Right.
as far as giving citizens of Greenland money, well, my people want our reparations too. So since you passing out money, then you need to pass out money to the descendants of enslaved people in the United States.
But you're already
of
part
America.
of the country. We're trying to sweeten the pot for them to join us.
I get it. I'm just saying, now if we're going down that path, then my people got something to say about it too. We in line.
And I even better, you're going to spend $800 billion on Greenland. How about healthcare for Americans? Let's do universal single payer health. Like, what are we talking about here? We can't
universal
have nice
child care, Chris.
We're going to buy
that.
Okay. We're going to buy an ice sheet. I mean, we have
Can
plenty
we deal
of
with
ice
homelessness?
Okay.
Can we deal with unhoused
I think the administration is going to say, Cassie, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is important. Healthcare. We should do more things for Americans, but the primary mission, objective, role of the federal government is to protect the homeland from foreign adversaries, of which our main ones are Russia and China. And I agree. I'm not going to conquer Greenland. I don't want to take it without their willing. If they wanted to be part of the U.S., they should be part of the U.S. If they want to be part of Denmark, they should be part of Denmark. If they want to be their own country, they should be their own country. Fine. You're not going to get any disagreement from me on that. But we don't want encroachment of China or Russia into our hemisphere. And this is a lightly protected. It's protected by us. And so we have to have some, I think Trump was saying, what do you say to this, Cassie? There's some administrative role for the U.S. over this landmass that is of strategic importance and could be taken advantage of by China.
Yes, for the record, I think it's both. I think there's a walk and chew gum element here. It's not a trade-off situation. It's not if you choose one, then you're abandoning the other priorities at home, which I know we're going to get to in a minute too. But in terms of China and Russia encroaching, we know they're doing it already in the Western Hemisphere, in South America, as that conversation got going with Venezuela. But also in terms of this being held open, we used to have far more military installations post World War II than we do today. What do we have there today? One, maybe two, but I think one. And I think there used to be 8 or so. So we have effectively abandoned it, leaving this gaping hole. And as you see that our adversaries are working on transatlantic missiles, devices to get to us, this buoys our ability to protect our sovereign borders. And Europe is not stepping up. I mean, I was in Germany 2 years ago and they were spray painting broomsticks to put on the ends of guns on tanks. So they're having their own set of issues and they're not prioritizing it because they're expecting the United States to do it. So while I'm not going to pretend to be a sycophant for taking Greenland or anything, I do think that there is a strategic element to this that shouldn't be dismissed.
Well, but we had the ability. We had the ability to put whatever we wanted on Greenland. We didn't need to take it. We don't need to give $1 million to every Greenlander. It's part of the NATO alliance, and we have a treaty right now that says we want to put military bases there. We do. And by the way, there's very few people on Greenland and a lot of land. We have plenty of opportunities to put whatever we want there. They would welcome the investment in Greenland, but instead we had to have this machismo, chest-pounding Don Roe doctrine BS that had the entire world saying, what the hell is wrong with the United States of America? And are we always going to be one election away, no matter what happens in 2028, from electing another maniac? And I think that this is the problem. And I think it's, look, we could dance around it all we want. The post-war era is over now. He has destroyed it in 1 year. And it is not good for us. We have been the primary beneficiaries of the boom in the world economy after World War II. No one else has benefited like us. He wants his supporters to think that we all have it so bad and the rest of the world is screwing us. That is the exact opposite of what's been happening the last, 75 years.
But as a post-war milieu where we're paying more for the defense of Europe than the nations of Europe, where this primarily fell on as it was a U.S. responsibility, even as Russia is a them problem. They're worked up about it. They're frightened about it. But Trump actually got them to contribute more money to their own. Even Hillary Clinton gave him credit for doing that.
we were spending all that money because we wanted to, because the defense
Exactly.
industry is the biggest industry in this
Exactly.
country.
Okay, well, that's not a good, that's
It
not a
is
good thing. I mean,
exactly
it's not a good
biggest-
thing.
Like, this is how dumb the president is.
We want to be in this position. We are in this position because we have
Who's
historically.
we? I don't want to
didn't have
spend more
to do
money
it.
on
No, we
defense
want
than
to.
anyone else.
I'm talking about the United States of America way before President Trump has wanted to be in this position. I mean, we spend more money than the 9 most weaponized nations combined on
They're
war
free
and
riding
war
on us.
making.
Because they're free riding us.
Because America wanted it this way. It didn't always have to be this way. The country wanted it this way. The leaders of this country wanted it this way. This still doesn't give us the right to go in and take other people's stuff. And if we are concerned about China and Russia, that's fine. So we're going to take advantage of Greenland so that China and Russia can't take advantage.
You know what I think happened?
Yes, I'd rather us. I mean, but that's.
I think we can all agree.
But
Donald Trump saw that movie Greenland, and he thought it was a documentary about the future of the world. And he felt that he needed to build a bunker in Greenland and didn't want to have to tell anybody where it was. And this is how we got here. I'm telling you, I know it's funny.
The movie Greenland. Is that one of these Oscar-nominated films that nobody's seen?
Well, no, there's it came out like 5 years ago. It was sci-fi. It was the whole thing.
Oh.
But
Greenland or about Iceland?
I guess I'm the only one that deep into COVID era movies. So
another point, this is the 21st century. We live in a nuclear weapon world. And so this is not 50 years ago or 100 years ago. When people play games like this, humanity and the entire ecosystem that depends on human beings to comport ourselves like we got some kind of sense. As my maternal grandmother used to say, act like you got some sense. So we don't need world leaders, whether it's China, Russia, or the United States, hegemonic nations that have so much power, and we are the largest hegemon in the world, to play games with nuclear weapons. It is called WW3, and none of us will survive it. So we're not talking about bayonets anymore.
The defense of the nuclear weapons, and that we think that it is only, that it's imminent that someone's going to use one. I'm then glad that we now are presented with an opportunity to expand the Golden Dome to fend that off.
That is going to be a failure and a waste of money and enrichment of the military-industrial complex. The goal should be
China and Russia are making very clear what they're going to do, right? Russia has actually invaded one of its neighboring nations. China
so we want to do it too.
Taiwan in a menacing way. Well, no, I want no one to do it, but I'm not going to draw a moral equivalency between us and China or between us and Russia. And
why?
Because we are a morally superior nation. It would be better for Earth
as
a human race. America is the hegemon, and China.
We are morally.
I don't know if we are anymore.
Our government is morally superior to China's government.
I do not. I do believe our government is morally superior than China and Russia when it comes to dealing with certain things. But I got to tell you right now, this imperialistic bend that this president's on, he's envious of imperialism. And that is a dangerous thing to think about. And I think that the United States Congress has abdicated its responsibility.
Well, I agree with you on
back
that.
What
Congress?
I agree with you on that.
I think this week you got the first time you had Republicans saying, you know what, if he does this, we have to impeach him. And, and it was coming from Republicans. And they weren't the most Trumpy Republicans, but they were Republicans that were willing to say impeach. And I mean,
we still vote. Like the American people could bring the Democrats to power in the next election, and then there could be some degree of check. They could bring an entirely new party to power in the presidency in 4 years. That's not going to happen in China, and it's definitely not going to happen in Russia. And so I think that is.
No, well, yeah,
we do.
I hope we vote. And I hope that Gary Manning doesn't continue to get put out of,
we're going to bring out, we've got a community member, Colleen, I think, had her hand raised and can come right up. And nice to see you. Nice to see you. Let us know what's on your mind.
Hi, Robby. Hi, Nina.
Hi.
Hi, Colleen.
How are you doing?
Very well.
Good.
Just to comment on Europe, I lived there for 15 years. So they have been, I agree with Trump, I'm a Democrat. But when Trump says, it always bothered me that Europeans have a much better lifestyle than we do. They have great healthcare. They have a great public education system. They all, you start off as an entry-level position with 6 weeks vacation. And they have been, we've been asking them since the first President Bush to please pay more for NATO, to increase their part. So he has a point, even though the way he presents it seems quite aggressive. We have to agree that, that we have been subsidizing Europe, and I hate to see Americans here suffering and not having as good a lifestyle. We're the richest country in the history of the world, and Europeans have a better life than us.
They do have a better life than us, but it doesn't have to be that way. We have made choices in this country to elect people who don't want to give us 6 weeks vacation, don't want to give us health care, don't want to let us retire at the age of 60. These are the choices we've made as Americans. We put people in power. We've decided that what that is socialism, and we should all be afraid of it. And you know what? Here's the thing. We all in this country, I'm about as corporate a Democrat as there been. Nina and I have debated lots of things. She's been right a lot more than I have, by the way. But I will tell you this. Here's what I've discovered about America in my years. We love socialism in this country. We just don't like the word. Okay, we have got a lot of socialism spread around this country.
Amen. Way too much.
Come on. We do not have the word. And maybe we need to come up with another word for it. We call it maybe, I don't know, enhanced capitalism or something, or capitalism plus.
But listen to Trump.
We could all pay $45 a month to get health care. It'd be the greatest thing in the world. But I just we just have to I agree. I love going to Europe. Everybody I know who lives in Europe is happier than I am. And it's just and they do have a better lifestyle, and it is good that they're paying more into NATO. But God, maybe we should get some of that benefit then. Maybe there should be a peace dividend or a dividend based on what these guys are paying that could go into healthcare and childcare and education and things that'll make our lives better. But I don't see Trump or the Republicans or anybody else proposing that.
Well, listen to what Trump said in Davos yesterday. He was the one who said, let me go up against the big pharma companies, because look what they pay in Europe and look what my citizens pay. I've spoken to Nita about this. And Bernie discussed this with Theo Von. He wants someone to go up against special interests. Trump is the man who will.
I want to see him, but Colleen, I want
Bernie to call Trump.
Well, I want to see him do that, though, Colleen. We have talked about this. The thing about President Trump, he ran this last campaign on populism, and he's done the exact opposite. If he would use his incredible, I don't give a damn, to the good. Universal child care, universal health care, protecting workers who want to unionize, making sure that we do something about the unhoused. I mean, the money that he wants to give to people in Greenland could be used to eradicate homelessness in the United States of America. And I'm not saying that his points, my grandmother used to say a broke clock is right twice a day. The president does make some good points, but he doesn't act on those points. He goes in the opposite direction, and he uses his incredible power to spread mayhem and destruction and confusion and fear, when he could do this such a different way.
But he said it twice this month. But
he's not going to do anything, Colleen. Okay, let's see if he does it.
Someone take him to task. Somebody needs to.
Listen, if he does it, I'll be the first one to say, I said 99.9, Mr. President. You got me on 1%.
But he's held events in the Oval Office talking about leveling the playing fields on the prices of prescription drugs. But think about bringing in all of those CEOs. Think about the billions of dollars that we've spent. I would love for there to be no homeless people. I pay thousands of dollars a month for daycare. I would love to have that burden reduced. We've spent billions of dollars, government taxpayer dollars, investing in this idea to have reduced cost of healthcare, to eradicate homelessness. I've worked on boards and summits to do this. And yet, where are we? So what's at the root of the problem? I don't think the root of the answer is more taxpayer dollars going to fund it. And when you talk about Europeans being happier, I give you two thoughts. One, I don't think they know any different. And so they're happy to just yield their lives. They're like, well, we never expect to own our houses. We have 100-year mortgages on our house. We just never expect to own it. And that's not the American way. We're like, no, I expect at the end of 30 years to own this house.
Actually, the American way is they think they own their house when they still have 29 years left on their mortgage. But that's the American way.
There are things that Colleen said,
taxing you on the house you already own. That they just find new ways.
I mean, our houses are like, some things are better in Europe. Like it's a complicated picture. People are more satisfied with their healthcare system in the UK than they are in the US.
They don't mind waiting 5 months for a consultation.
Right. But to Cassie's point, if you start comparing the average home is bigger in the US than it is in Europe. Like the average income is higher in every state even the poorest state than it is in Germany. If you start comparing apples to oranges, some of those things don't look quite as there is no tech sector. They can't lead the world in terms of tech development in Europe because Brussels would not let them have a tech company, right? Bureaucrats would shut that down. They would never, we in the US, because of the First Amendment and other things, do not allow ourselves to be run by petty bureaucrats the way they are in Europe. Like some nation has to unchain capitalism enough to go back to our previous conversation to be China, and that's us.
ICE can just just not pay attention to the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States right here in real time. What people in Europe who have universal health care file bankruptcy? Who puts insulin on credit cards in those countries? I will agree with you and Cassie, Robby, in that no system, so I am not here saying no system is perfect because it is flawed by human beings, but it
definitely
is
not the US system.
but it is cruel and usual punishment in the United States of America than to call ourselves a hegemonic nation, to call ourselves a Christian nation, and to have so many people languish. We talk about paying more tax dollars for, I would rather my tax dollars go to universal health care and universal health care than more bombs. I would rather it go there than to the military industrial complex that's only going to enrich itself at the expense of everybody else. Yeah. So what is the social contract that we owe to each other in the United States of America while we sit up here talking about these other people?
And I agree. I would, if I were going to spend it somewhere, I would rather spend it on social, I'm not a big militarist. I would cut the defense budget massively. The Pentagon loses $9 billion every year. It's a scandal. I'm with you on that. But again, to do the Europe comparison, we're talking about largely, much more than the U.S., ethnically, culturally, socially homogenous places where there is high social trust and a willingness to spend your money on your neighbors because it's one small family, where compared to the U.S., a giant melting pot of all over the world, where we do not have that same level of social trust and the same willingness
Why are you saying that this country is a bigoted, anti-Black nation and they don't want Black people and other working class people to have things? Robby, I'm throwing my paper. I know Cassie and Chris probably don't know what the heck I'm doing right now, but this is my frustration.
What are you looking for notes
right now?
I a lot to clean up later.
I know, Cassie, that's the problem at the end.
One more thing, Nina. Why do eggs taste better in Europe? Could somebody explain that to me? I mean, I know it's all
does for sure. But I mean, Coca-Cola is better in Europe.
I'm not even talking about an omelet. Like, you go to the hotel breakfast station and you get fried eggs and they taste like the best eggs you've ever had in your life. I don't understand. I live like a mile from a farm here. I get the eggs there. They're not as good. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Well,
they don't allow all those chemicals and additives over there that we allow.
Right. My husband has celiac and everyone's like, oh, you can eat the bread over here. Like, he's like, I think we got to move just for the bread. I can't get bread.
So, why is it so much better?
Yeah.
Let's actually, before we part ways with what's going on in Davos, Nina, do you have any thoughts on the Gaza Board of Peace and what's going on with that? I have to imagine you might have a thing or two to share with me. Okay.
Let
them fly, baby girl. There they go. Okay, not a lot of peace is what I'm gathering. Yeah. Okay. Well, we will just move right along then. I also don't know what he's meaning to accomplish there.
Oh, it's a piece, all right.
Yeah, I want to be uninvolved. I would love to set up a board and then have no more anything to do with the Middle East in general. But okay, we're back at home now. There seems to be some acknowledgement, I think, internally, that the message that we've got things back on track, we fixed the economy, we have affordability again, is not registering with voters, with maybe this contingent of people who voted for Trump for the first time, or who newly came in, very frustrated with Biden, very frustrated with Democrats, seemingly saying, "But everything's great. What are you complaining about?" Cassie, do you think there's a danger of the Republicans doing the same thing now and facing some consequence for that?
Yes, they have to
Yeah.
connect the dot because quite literally, I'm going to my grocery store and I'm seeing all of these tags that say new lower price. I go to the gas station, I'm paying 65 cents less a gallon than I was a year ago. And some people say, that's crazy, I'm paying even $1 less. But the dot is not connecting. If I'm Donald Trump, remember when people started putting those Joe Biden, I did that stickers next to the higher gas prices? If I'm Donald Trump, I'm like rolling out those stickers to put next to the grocery store prices to literally connect the dot. I do think, and by the way, if I'm a Republican on a ballot, every Republican on a ballot needs to get to the grocery store or a gas station, record a video, put it out. Like connect that dot that we're heading in the right direction. And it's a direct result of this. I do think Susie Wiles said that Davos will be the last international trip for the president for quite some time. I think that's a good thing. He needs to get back here. I don't know if we need to like gin up the rally circuit, but we have a disconnect. When Donald Trump is not on the ballot, his base is not turning out. So we've got to give them a reason to turn out and say, all of this ends, the trajectory we're on flatlines if Democrats take back control of the House or the Senate. If I'm a Lone Ranger and I don't have good people to work with. So they do have to connect that dot and I think have to get on their horse to do it because it's not enough to just say it. We saw Joe Biden trying to say that. Nobody bought it.
And you're right, Cassie, sorry. When I see Donald Trump talk about the economy, it reminds me of Joe Biden. And Joe Biden screwed it up. Trump's screwing it up.
I think it's hard to avoid.
They all want to try to say, look at this statistic. Everything's great.
Yeah.
And then you go to the supermarket and the only statistic you care about is the price you're paying when you check out.
Okay, but those eggs that aren't as good, are they cheaper? Are they cheaper than they were a year ago?
I don't know.
Yes, they are.
Cheaper than a year ago.
Probably.
And I just
but
paid $4.99.
you want to talk about eggs, but let's talk about what people are actually spending at the grocery store. And because of his tariffs, prices are up. And people are blaming him. And he's out there getting mad that people are blaming them instead of being like Bill Clinton. I feel your pain. I got to make it happen. I got to fix this.
But
I think, and he doesn't know how to feel the average person's pain because he doesn't really know a lot of average people and doesn't have any average people around him. And the people who are around him are afraid to give him bad news. He's got a lot of people around him that are saying, yeah, you're the best, Mr. President. Everybody loved your speech at Davos. You sounded so presidential and oh my, you really gave it to the Europeans. That's what his staff is telling him. Meanwhile, he's an embarrassment on the world stage and he's not helping the economy and the American people are sick of it. And they've run out of patience and time is up. And here's the thing about people running. Your ideas are right. In a normal world, go to the supermarket, talk about what you're going to do. But I think in the age of Trump, the only politician that matters is Trump. And the election is going to be about what people think about Trump. It's not going to be about the local congressman or even the guy running for county executive or state senator somewhere. It's going to be about, do you like Trump or do you don't like Trump? And if you don't like Trump, which most people don't, you're going to lose if you're on the R line.
I mean, I think it's going to be about, yes, it's going to be about how people feel about the economy, and that it is tied directly to how they feel about Trump. Like we understand. I think the media.
Oh, I think it's more than the economy, Robbie. I don't think it's about the economy and Trump, but mostly Trump. He is an overwhelming, once in a generation political figure. And he's very polarizing.
Well, yes.
And there are people who love him and there are people that hate him. And when there are more people that love him, Republicans win. When there are more people that hate him, Republicans lose. And right now there are more people that hate him. And that number's only getting bigger. And he's not helping himself. Every time he speaks, get the rally circuit going. By all means, please get the rally circuit going. Because he's not helping himself, because he doesn't want to tell the truth about the economy. He doesn't want to take any responsibility for anything, and he wants to blame Joe Biden, and the American people are tired of hearing that.
You get a year to blame the last guy. That is now over. It's fair point on that. We're all going to have to concede that. I don't think it's decided on. I don't think our politics are decided on foreign policy very much. Ever, really. It's something the media is obsessed with and focuses on, frankly, the mainstream media, because they're interested in it. But less affluent and less elite people are reasonably more concerned about their very immediate economic realities. Like Cassie, you brought up price of daycare, right? Not just groceries, price of daycare. Housing has been something the administration has tried to tackle recently with a proposed order on corporations or whoever
Buying single family,
buying up
they can't
homes.
buy.
That kind of,
Yeah.
is that an idea you like, Nina?
Yeah, I like the idea. I wish they would codify it in law. I mean, executive
I like
order.
the idea too.
I mean, well, yeah, let's get real. But yeah, I mean, amen, bravo, President. The Democrats.
What is a
President
law?
Biden
I don't think anyone knows
that.
the process to make something into a law anymore. What do we do? Is there legislators? They would vote on it or write it down. I don't think anyone knows how that works anymore.
I got a program they could watch.
Okay.
Right. I'm thinking
They would
about
have to do it. They'd have to
Schoolhouse
watch a
Rock right now, but,
YouTube tutorial for how to make a
I'm just
bill
a
and pass it
bill.
and have it become law.
You in my head, Chris. You
And
in
I'm
my
sitting
head.
here on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, nobody-
Bill, you're a
Wait,
law.
nah.
I know what that is, and I don't think anyone younger than me, and I'm not that young. I'm not saying I'm young. I don't think anyone, Gen Z does not know what that is.
You know what?
They need to
25 years
revive
ago,
that.
25 years ago, when I worked for Chuck Schumer, I used to teach a class. I used to adjunct a class on Congress, and I used to talk about conference committees.
Oh,
I don't think there's ever been a conference committee
even
on
more
a
archaic.
bill in like 25 years.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like, remember those? Did you
Yeah.
have them when you were a state senator? Nina?
Yes,
I mean,
yes, we
it's
did,
like-
Chris. Let me tell you something. We need to do a Schoolhouse Rock remix, baby. We
Yes.
do. We do.
Bring it back.
But,
Get Ms.
well,
Rachel or Daniel Tiger or whoever in on that. But
So
I
it'll
do
be
think
replaced by the president declares it, and then the Supreme Court maybe strikes it down. That's the new process.
that's how they move.
Sorry, go ahead, Cassie.
No, I do think, and that's one of the things too, is like we all just stood here and said, yeah, I'd agree with that. But Congress also is so divided that Hakeem Jeffries has explicitly told his conference nothing that's introduced individually will not move through. We are not doing bipartisan legislation because we're not giving wins in election years. So that doesn't help anybody either. And I'm not saying Republicans are innocent in that way, but that really upsets the American voter as well, when they're like, why can't Congress just work? And then you get people that are well-meaning, and then they get to Washington and realize like, oh, this is why it doesn't work, because
well,
the politics of it.
The duopoly, Cassie, I don't believe the duopoly. There may be some individuals that care and that believe, even my Republican colleagues that I don't agree with, even when I served in Ohio Senate or even looking at the Congress, some people believe what they believe. And I just might not believe it. But then there are others who literally just do not care. And so I'm no fan of Hakeem Jeffries, Leader Jeffries. I mean, I go to battle with him all the time. And I was on Senator Sanders' campaign, both of his campaigns, and we had to fight, neoliberal Democrats like him. I think at the height of suffering, it is immoral as hell that if you see something, even if it's the other side proposing it, and you believe not just in your heart, but empirically too, that this could make a difference for the people who you said you wanted to serve, then you got to lock arm in arm with those people to get that done. And I'll see you at the ballot box. If I gotta beat you by saying I ain't gonna let nothing move, even when I know my people are suffering, then something is wrong with me. So you will not ever hear me say that I like that kind of foolishness and mayhem enough of it. But you're right, both parties do it. And I think for working class people, the duopoly as a whole does not work because of what you just laid out. They both do it. And it's wrong.
I agree.
I think
agree.
most of us live somewhere more in the middle. And so to have, a government that hangs out on the wings is perplexing to us, right?
By the way, I agree 100% with what you both said. But I will say that if the president wanted to get that done, it'd get done, because it would be something Democrats would be shamed into doing, because how could they not? They've been talking about it forever. And Republicans would have to do it because they have to do whatever he says. It's in their contract.
A good point. Good point, Chris.
See, you were
Excellent
almost
point.
there, and then you had to go and make it petty and political.
Well, come on.
there.
I'm trying to be funny.
They don't want to do.
I know
they
this
have a
isn't TV,
majority,
but I
and
try
they
to
don't want
entertain.
to.
That's why they keep having me back. It's it's not because I'm the best looking guy. I mean, if it was, so
All right, we've got a comment from Yakov, I believe. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Welcome to the program. Let us know what is on your mind. Thanks for joining us. I think you're still muted. Still muted.
there you go.
There we go.
There you go. Okay. Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Why didn't the Democrats in the J6 hearing today do a better job in allowing Jack Smith to bring out his evidence? Like all they did is make statements. So it was a shit show.
Anybody got thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that Democrats are not aggressive enough, right? I just don't. And you're right. And I think Jack Smith should have done an opening statement where he laid out his evidence. I don't know why he didn't do that. So I didn't watch the entire thing because it was an S show and I didn't feel like sitting through it. And but yeah, I think that Republicans are just better on the attack and the soundbite, and Democrats try to match it, and they're just not as good at it. And it's not. I don't know what to say. I mean, that's what I saw.
Yeah.
I saw Republicans that were prepared, that had their points and that their attack, and it seemed like they were coordinated in their attacks. And I saw each Democrat trying to vie for their spot. And I don't think any of them really hit home. The ones I saw. I didn't see them all.
Chris, you used to work for Chuck Schumer?
I used to work for Chuck Schumer. I don't
What
anymore.
the hell? I'm a Brooklyn guy also. Why didn't you guys give him a lesson in communication?
Well, it was a house hearing. But I think if Chuck Schumer was running that hearing, it might be a different story, frankly. You're a Brooklyn guy?
Brooklyn, New York. I know
Where about?
Chuck. Crown Heights.
There you go.
I know
I'll do my Chuck Schumer impersonation for you.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we love Brooklyn. I'm here with Nina. She should know that I'm the one who talked Bernie Sanders into running for the United States Senate. I went up to Vermont. We had a nice cup of coffee in Manchester. It was a beautiful negative 27-degree day. So sorry.
Yeah, what I caught of the hearing is, I don't know. This is for the very committed partisan supporters of.
Wait, hold on, Robbie. They said cue Robbie's Bernie impression. You can't let that go by.
Oh,
Philip said cue Robbie's Bernie impression.
Billionaires, the billionaires are rigging our society, and that is what the problem is. Let me be very clear.
Wow.
I don't know if I have a Bernie. I don't know if I have one.
Oh, this is
The
beautiful.
billionaires, the billionaire class. I mean, I look more like them than you do, Robbie. So
Fair enough.
It's a little
Fair enough.
easier for me to do it.
Yeah, I don't know what you would do. I don't know what we bringing to the table on the impersonation.
I was trying to
Let me
think if I had
Let me
anything.
speak to myself. I don't know.
This is with
All SNL.
with disrespect to us, this is a male-coded behavior. Is that
Yeah,
we have great impressions of everyone, and we want to do them to entertain.
We're here
other
for it,
people.
though.
And
I am
We're
at
here
my
for
heart an improv comic. Everything else I do is because I couldn't make a living as an improv comic. So,
yeah, Jack Smith. This kind of thing is for for Donald Trump himself, right? He's been demanding people on his side take more seriously. People he's put in power, Pam Bondi, others take more seriously the idea that he was the victim of unfair prosecutions, lawfare, etc. Republicans have gotten, in my view, very good at having these kind of showy and a little bit performative, railing at Jack Smith type people that nothing will come of it, but it's about creating, again, there's no legislating to be done. That's what they decided, is there's going to be no legislating. So it's about creating nice little moments on social media for us to feast on and argue about. And they're creating television, really. They're influencers, they're content creators. That is how they view their job. And
I will say this: Jim Jordan did admit that Trump only won twice today. I don't know if
he's
I
going
don't know
to
if he
have a
meant
primary
to do it,
challenge,
but
and
he
that'll be the
did.
end for him. Can't do that. That was a big mistake.
Probably got a call from the president. I won 3 times. 3 times.
Why stop there? 4 could be 4.
So-
All right, let's move on to
Rewrite the rules.
Yeah.
Is their new
You know,
tagline.
well-
when it comes to the Constitution, they rewrite the rules. Is it so?
So we also want to touch on the other big story of the week, which is still ICE in general and what's going on in Minnesota. More of a lot of headlines I could go over, but the continued ICE actions there. Not scrutiny, not just of the Renee Good killing, but clashes between ICE officers and a variety of people. Getting a lot of attention. Subpoenas for Tim Walz, Jacob Fry, and others. I believe I just saw on Twitter that Amy Klobuchar has filed paperwork to seek the governor's office, unless that was just a totally made up social media thing. missed. So that's kind of expected. Cassie, I guess I'll come to you again as our surrogate to defend the administration. Okay. I'm being told yes. The club is in.
Wow.
That.
Okay.
Just going for it.
Hide your forks.
Indeed.
Was that, or was it a comb?
Literally the first thing I thought of.
It was a comb. It was a
Comb.
comb,
That's
Cass.
a fork. Yeah.
I've said this before. My old neighbor, I used to live in the same building as her in Capitol Hill. So
We're not surprised by that, are we?
fondness,
We knew she was going to run.
Yes,
Right.
yes. I don't know why she wants to, but she does. Well, people want to exercise real power, I guess. You get sick of being in Congress.
Yeah,
sick of
exactly.
being a
Power is
content
real.
creator. You want to be
Oh,
executive
yeah.
of state, do
Yeah.
actual things. But Cassie, the administration is certainly not backing down whatsoever publicly in saying, look, we were brought to power to do deportations. This is what it looks like. These municipalities don't participate with us. They're not doing it on their own. So we are sending in federal agents to do it. And if you don't like that, then tell your leaders to fall in line and it won't have to be this way. Is that still the administration's viewpoint? Is there any nervousness, you think, about what the clashes they're seeing and whether that will inspire some kind of blowback, or is it no, stay the course?
Well, you said it in a nutshell, and I'll give two perspectives. One, recent AP poll this week, 76% of Republicans agree with the administration's approach on immigration. And when you're talking about your base and you can't win elections if you can't turn out your base, they said this is something that we voted for. You said you were going to do this and you're doing it. That the de facto open border, the lawlessness in communities, people that are true hardened criminals who are not only in our country illegally, but also causing a safety concern in communities that we once took for granted as being safe communities. We are in support of all of that. Now, from a PR perspective, the optics of some of this stuff, because we're getting these videos. I mean, my husband's from northern Wisconsin, have a lot of family in the Twin Cities. So my feed is like a lot of people I know who are posting these videos saying, surely this is not a humane nation. But then their videos, they're posted out of context. They're posted with a biased context. And what I would just say, not to let up, you have to enforce the rule of law. If you don't like the law, petition Congress. We've all established that they don't do anything, so good luck there. But if you don't like our immigration laws, petition the people who have some ability to change them. But I would just say, if I was Secretary Noem, I would say, do not give in to these people who are, their goal today is to get you to get you off guard, to get a rise out of you, to get that video that can go viral. Do not give them that moment. Go in, do your job, move on.
Well, I think
that was the only thing I would say, because optically you're losing the plot, even if the base still overall supports the effort.
I think that, the base probably is going to be with him. I think the base is shrinking, but I think it's going to be with him no matter what he does. I think when you're gassing families who are coming home from a basketball game and the mother has to, beg the ICE agent to allow, CPR to be administered to her infant, and then the Department of Homeland Security puts out some sort of weird text about how they shouldn't have been there with no information. I think when you're shooting moms in the street, I think the chaos outweighs any policy that they're trying to implement, right? Barack Obama deported more people in his first year than Donald Trump did, and there was no chaos associated with it. There is chaos, and that goes to Trump, and it goes to Trump's unchecked power.
Does that not go
and
to
when
the
you have
sanctuary
unchecked
city
power, the
policies at all?
American people don't like one party controlling all three branches. They surely don't like it when somebody's exercising too much power and creating chaos unchecked. That's why Republicans are doomed in 2026. That includes, even if the economy recovers between now and November, the Republicans are doomed in 2026 because of the chaos that Donald Trump has created.
But Abigail Spanberger, supposedly moderate Dem, governor of Virginia now, comes in. First thing she does is reverse the previous governor, Glenn Youngkin's, not armed guards everywhere doing mass deportations or mass arrests of all immigrants, but a sensible middle ground policy of, hey, local law enforcement, they're going to hold someone, they're an illegal immigrant, and they have some other criminal, and they're going to help ICE with that, some other crime, and they're going to help ICE with that. And that's reversed by her on day one. So I think Republicans will say, well, what are we?
I think it's the job of the governor to say to the president, you want to work with me, let's make a deal. I can't just accept the deal that some old dude put in place. I'm the governor now. I won by 17%, even though, by the way, I think it had very little to do with her, more to do with Trump. I still believe that. But I think that it's her job as governor now to negotiate with the president. You want something from me? Come and ask me. Right. I mean, and I think that that's probably what should have happened in Minnesota. There should be some sort of deal here. I'm not opposed to violent criminals and felons being deported who are here without the proper paperwork. But I am opposed to the violations of the Fourth Amendment that I'm seeing. I'm opposed to Americans and others being stopped just because of the color of their skin.
I absolutely am as well. I don't like what I'm seeing either. Yeah, I wouldn't. I did not and would not have voted for this. But I know the Republican response, and I don't hear, even though I am certainly opposed to mass deportation, I'm opposed to civil liberties violations. I've heard the Republican response enough times, and I have to concede that it's at least somewhat persuasive that this is the federal response to no local participation in immigration efforts.
It's never happened
before. That's an excuse.
No, but look at Memphis, Tennessee.
We could deprive them of that excuse by having local authorities cooperate with immigration authorities.
Again, an example, Memphis, just for a second, Memphis has a Democrat mayor. ICE went in. You're not hearing about Memphis on the news. Why? Because there's a cooperative government structure happening. Where that's not happening is where you're seeing the chaos. And when you talk about Obama, where ICE was doing Obama or CNN was doing ride-alongs with ICE in Chicago. Well, yeah, okay, Obama's a Democrat. You got Democrat leadership, kumbaya. They're all working together. What's the
he didn't allow ICE. First of all, he didn't hire a bunch of middle-aged white guys who are angry at the world to go break car windows down.
He didn't weaponize
47 days of training, and then let's put him in the street
Tom
with America.
was the guy in charge then. He's the guy in charge.
President
now.
Obama.
I don't know if we can say that go ahead, Nina. The people who make up the force has changed notably, but I don't know either way. But okay, go ahead, Nina.
And there were a whole bunch of people on the left who did not like what President Obama was doing either. So it's not like he got off scot-free, but he did not, to Chris's point, cause all of this chaos. President Obama did not weaponize ICE against American citizens. So I can see the fact that if there's an undocumented person here and they're not here properly, they have broken the law. If Emma Jo was here, she would lay that out.
She says they all got to go. Well, Nina, I would not do anything with them if there's no other criminal issue. But if there is, then.
No, I get it, but I will concede the fact that but people are here under different statuses too. And the way President Trump is doing this is not allowing for the parsing through of what their status may or may not be. And he is getting the biggest thrill, him and Noam and others, of them violating the Fourth Amendment, as Chris just laid out, the First Amendment, not caring whether or not they yanking. I don't want them to yank up anybody like that, but especially an American citizen. Why do American citizens, Christy Noam said that, be prepared to show your papers. Well, we live in a country, once again, it's up to me to point this out, where to a certain group of people in this country, none of that is new about show your papers, driving while Black, going to college while Black, sleeping while Black, walking while Black. There is a history in this country of Black people having to show their papers and prove that they belong. And now in the 21st century, President Donald J. Trump is going to put gasoline on this and see people yanked out and babies. You trapping babes, immigrants, using an immigrant's baby as bait to get their parents. You think that's not going to scar that child for life? There is something inhumane about it. So if we're going to enforce our every Congress, is not just President Trump and this Congress, previous Congresses have failed to do something real on immigration reform. That does not mean that this president should be comporting himself this way. And I don't care that his base is with him. When you're doing wrong, you're doing wrong. And if 100,000 people are with you and you wrong, you still wrong. Not necessarily wrong for law. I'm not just solely talking about law, but it is how you are doing it. And so many American citizens are being caught up. You all heard about the off-duty Minneapolis police officer.
Yeah.
That they did. So now she had to go out of her way to prove that she's a police officer, and they still treated her like that.
Yeah. By the way, ridiculous. all this talk about his Christian base. None of them
That
have read the
part.
book of Matthew. Not
Come on.
one.
Well,
Matthew
Which one?
25. Why don't
Come
they go
on.
read it?
25, 40.
Right. That what you do unto the least of them, you do unto
Do
Christ.
unto me.
What? How
Come
you
on.
treat the
our
Come on,
immigration
Chris.
is how you
policy
treat
is
Christ.
not coming from
Let
the
me tell you
Bible.
something.
It's
I'm
Come
gonna
on,
put this out.
Chris.
If there are any conservative Christians
I
listening,
don't
I'm
think that
rebuking you right
that
now
works
if you're
any at
supporting this
all.
behavior, because
Come on, Chris.
this is not Christian. It is not. And for
No,
those out
not
there,
at all.
you know, the president is now in a battle
Look, I
with
just
the
gotta
Pope.
tell you that
And
is
the
not
good
a
thing about this
persuasive
Pope, he's from
argument.
Chicago and he speaks perfect English.
For me, it is.
I don't like it. Okay.
All right, we
By
got
the
one
way,
more.
I
Go ahead, Cassie.
I'm just saying, I'm with you on the humanity piece of that, but I also don't like when people use that and then they're like, but let's have the government go in and do all of this. Like, let then the churches help the least among us, as we do very well.
The churches do.
The churches are then
Well,
regulated
the government
by the
shouldn't be
government and
beating
overrun
up the
by
least
government. And
among
by the
us,
way,
right?
why could you defend that they went in and disrupted that church
Thank
last
you.
Sunday of those worshipers, many of whom I
That's what
assume
Christians are mad about.
He was a
Do you
commander in
just-
ICE, and they were protesting him personally. I don't
So
think
it
people
wasn't
should
him,
be.
though.
I don't think people should be protesting at churches. I don't.
Okay, so we can all
But
agree.
I
on
also
that.
don't
You
think
can
that
have
I
your
don't think
space
that
of
it's very
worship invaded.
Christian for a deacon to be beating up, people in the street as a
No
commander
evidence
of
he was
ICE.
doing that,
So
and the guy who was
maybe
presiding
that
over the
church,
service was
maybe
not
that
the
church
person
should
they
say,
were accusing
Deacon,
of
you're
doing that.
representing this church, and you're out there beating up, people in the street and breaking down windows and allowing babies to almost die from gassing.
Again,
Can you
no
stop
evidence that
maybe
that man was
read
doing
the
that.
Bible?
No evidence that that man was doing that, and the person who was presiding over that service was not the person that they were purporting to do that. So then you got Don Lemon. Talk about people who just want to come in and like have their moment in the
I don't
sun.
like people going to churches and protesting. I don't think that's
I'll
a place
agree.
for it. But let's not pretend that it was some random church, which is what the right-wing media is doing right now, that they're randomly going into churches. It was not a
Listen,
random
okay, well,
church.
They more outraged about, and I'm with all of you. I would not have went into the church. I am a daughter of a
Thank
preacher.
you.
However,
too. I'm the
You're
son
not
of a
going to win.
preacher.
You're trying to appeal to religious
No, no, no,
people.
no,
You're
no,
going to
no,
lose
no.
them real fast that way.
however, to be more
I would just
outraged
stop there.
about a group of unprotected people trying to do what they can in a peaceful manner to show their helplessness and their anger, as the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, and these weren't rioters, they weren't rioting, but he has a quote, and I'm paraphrasing, that rioting is the language of the unheard. Now, they weren't rioting, but for us, and I'm not saying us, I'm generally speaking, to be more enraged about them going into a church than we are about Nicole being shot in the head.
I'm not enraged, but I am
yanking people out of their
concerned
cars.
about
That's ridiculous
protest
to me.
The
tactics.
DOJ is more enraged about it, and that's the real
These
thing,
protesters
right?
think they can trespass
That part.
private property, that
They cannot.
interfering in law enforcement behavior is a good idea, that using their car to block roads is a good idea, that is going to get people killed. So whoever's
Well,
giving
Robby,
them
don't
the
local
idea
government, local
that is
police
just
arrest? Don't there are local laws for things that you just named. Allow the local law enforcement to do their job.
Well,
Okay,
I
but
would love to, but they're
Minnesota-
not doing it, which is why there's a problem to begin with. But
Oh,
no,
they can't get past
protesters-
the barricades that ICE is putting up, and
No.
they don't have enough gas masks. And there's three
Okay, but
I
I
don't
don't
have
have a
enough
legal justification to
500
do it.
cops.
The protesters do not. The protesters, no matter how, trust me, I'm very mad about a lot of things our government does as a libertarian. I'm very mad about having to pay
If
taxes.
you're a libertarian,
I
you
can't
should
go
be outraged
block-
by what you're
I
seeing from
can't
this government
drive
right
my
now.
car in front of the
are
IRS
really
and
a
stop them from
libertarian
collecting
and not
taxes
look,
because I don't want
Robby,
to.
I don't know you that much. If you are really a libertarian, I have decided, if you've listened to my podcast last week, I've decided that most libertarians are just Republicans that smoke pot. Okay. I
Well, fair
want to
enough.
make
You're not the
sure
first to say that.
libertarians should be
I
out of
smoke
their
a lot of
mind.
things, not just pot, but go ahead.
Libertarians should be out of their mind about what's going on.
I am
in
out of my mind.
Minneapolis. They should be enraged beyond belief about 90% of the things this guy is doing right now. It is so
But if
anti-libertarian.
only Minneapolis hadn't pushed to defund the police and reduced resources for law enforcement, perhaps, and oh, by the way, told them to refuse to
Cassie.
cooperate with detainers, then
got some
perhaps they'd
papers to
be
throw.
able
Okay, I'm out.
to pull this under control. I'm not wholeheartedly defending the tactics. I said that at the top. But there's a lot that could be done here to bring down the temperature that they have completely yielded
Starting
on.
with the president.
In
Starting with President
Minneapolis,
Donald J.
the
Trump.
governor of Minnesota completely yielded. Then,
Starting with President Donald J. Trump, Cassie.
well,
He
I
has the
think
biggest
let's just say everybody can be doing a little bit more. I'll concede that if you would.
Well, I will too.
Donald Trump probably in his little bird brain thinks that Minneapolis is why he lost 2020 because of the riots and
That's
the
right.
attention brought to racial inequality in America. He thought that's why he lost. So he's taking it out. I am tired of the
I don't
psyches
know.
of Donald Trump and Stephen Miller having such a disproportionate impact on this country. And I think it's time for the freaking Congress. I don't think we can wait till November. They need to get their butt in gear and put this stuff down. They've got to push this guy back and temper him.
They should. Congress
Yes.
should do its job and be the primary lawmaker, but that falls to Congress. It does not fall to angry suburban protesters.
Don't they get to protest though, Robby?
They
Do they get to protest?
absolutely.
Libertarian, don't they get to protest?
They get
Do
to
they get
protest.
to
They don't get to
protest?
drive their cars into the ways of law enforcement operations.
Well,
they can protest. They can film. They can. We're all in absolutely.
not according to ICE. I mean, Minnesota is an enemy occupied territory. Let the local police handle this, but they've overrun the local police. I forget when our viewers asked who cleans up after me. I'm gonna have my grandkids. I'm
All right, we
some-
have a bunch of hands up, but we gotta wrap. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry we didn't get to you. We just got to a really spicy conversation at the end here.
Thanks,
Please
Bob.
tune in
Thanks,
next
Robby.
week and ask your question,
Thanks,
and
Nina.
we'll get to you, even if it's referencing what
Thanks,
happened this
Chris.
week. We'll be happy to take those next week. This was so much fun. Thank you guys.
Yes.
Thank you, Cassie,
Thank
for
you,
being part
Cassie
of the
and
group
Chris.
chat this week. Thank you, community members, for tuning in. Again, sorry we didn't get to more of you, but I hope you enjoyed watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See you soon.